What's up, guys? So if you're watching this video, you probably recently discovered that you could see or feel your heartbeat or pulse in your stomach or belly for the first time. And whenever you notice anything or feel anything in your body for the first time, it can be scary, especially if you have anxiety, especially if you have health anxiety like I did. I had health anxiety for 5 years. The first 2.5 years of that, I was mainly afraid of having heart issues. I had heart anxiety and cardiophobia. I was worried about my circulatory system, so I worried about blood clots. I worried about aneurysms. I worried about strokes. I worried about heart attacks, AFib, arrhythmias, cardiac arrests, sudden cardiac arrests, heart failure, all of those things. So it was a perfect storm for me to worry about the heartbeat in my stomach because all these things came into play, and I worried about two things when it came to my health when I saw that. So that's the setting. So that's where I was. So if you worry about your health, if you have health anxiety, if you have anxiety in general, and if you're dealing with this issue right now, do me a favor and subscribe to this channel. A lot of videos like this that you can relate with, a lot of videos that can help you with your anxiety journey, in particular with health anxiety. And if you've noticed your heartbeat in your stomach, go ahead and hit the like button so we can get this out to more people so they feel less alone, like you're gonna feel less alone. So when I first noticed this, I was in the heart of my heart anxiety. I was laying on the couch, didn't have a shirt on, and that's when you're typically gonna notice this. You can still notice it if you're lying down and you have a shirt on, but most of us notice this when we have our shirt off. Ladies, maybe you're just in a bra and you're lounging, or sometimes ladies like to just lay down with their shirt up a little bit higher, especially if they're hot. And then all it takes is us looking down at our stomach. And here's one of the problems with being an anxious person and dealing with health anxiety. We body scan. We are very in tune with our body. We feel things that other people can't feel, which is something that leads to you feeling the heartbeat in your stomach more than other people, which is why you're noticing it for the first time, because you're just more in touch with your body and you're more sensitive. But we also body scan. So we're always looking over our entire body for something. And I learned that if you look hard enough, you're gonna find something. You know how many nightmares I had taking a shower and discovering something on my skin? Is this skin cancer? How many times I saw some discoloration or a bruise, wondering if that's the start of like blood cancer or something. A knot, a mole, a pimple, anything. Why does this vein look bigger than this vein? Always constantly scanning, looking in the mirror. So this night was no different. I'm just laying there with my shirt off, watching TV, and just, I'm kind of looking over my body, making sure that nothing's abnormal. And then I just noticed this kind of pulsating in my stomach area. Now, whenever I'm talking about this area, it's like right here below the sternum down to like around my belly button. That's where I kind of saw it in that area. And I just noticed it kind of bouncing. And then obviously I was like, okay, that's my heartbeat, obviously, because I would feel it bounce right after I would feel the beat up here in my neck, right? What's going on, guys, is that there is an artery, right? It's your abdominal aorta, right? It goes from your heart, and it's what delivers blood to your abdomen area, your digestive system, your organs down here, and then it separates and goes into your legs right there. So there's a lot of blood pumping through a major artery right there. So that's why a lot of you are seeing and feeling it, okay? Anxiety, all right, you're checking your body, you're scanning. Now you're more likely to see it, even though it was there before. You're feeling it a lot more now because you're more sensitive than you used to be, right? Either whenever you were a child or whenever you're younger, or if some of you didn't develop anxiety till you're an older adult. In your younger years, you didn't have anxiety, so you weren't so sensitive. So this was likely happening the whole freaking time. You just didn't notice it. Now, most people that are thin, you're gonna easily see this, but that's not to rule out if you're overweight that you can't see it. I wasn't the thinnest of people. I would say I was kind of in the middle. I wasn't the healthiest person around. But if you're thin, you're really gonna be able to see it. And also, if you're laying down, it's very easy to see it. Whenever you're sitting up, most of your fat or abdomen and all that stuff's kind of weighed down. It's more pressure on it, so you're not gonna see it bounce as easily. So all these conditions, me having anxiety, me feeling things more than most other people can, being ultra sensitive, me body scanning, right? Me being somewhat thin, and me lying on my back, was a perfect storm for me to see this and to freak out. So initially, I was like, oh my God, this is indicative of a horrible blood pressure problem. Once I saw that it was my heart beating blood and I was like seeing it, I was like, oh my God, my heart has gotten so much unhealthier. My blood pressure problem is just really out of hand now. oh my God, I must be on the verge of a heart attack because I've never noticed my stomach pulsating and bouncing like that. So I immediately went into a huge panic attack, debated going to the ER like I'd done many other times. Finally, I was able to calm down. Finally, I was like, whew, dodged another heart attack, you know. So then this is where I made my next mistake, right? And a lot of you have already done this, and this is probably why you're here on this video. You type in feeling heartbeat or seeing heartbeat or pulse in your stomach or belly, and then you're gonna get a bunch of stuff. First of all, you're gonna see all the horrific crap at the top, right? So I immediately went from the fear of having high blood pressure problems to something called an aortic aneurysm, which is basically that artery that comes down here that supplies the blood to the midsection and lower half of your body starts to bulge out. There's a weakness, and at some point, if it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, it can burst, it can be fatal, it's an emergency, you can go to shock. Just things don't look good if it does burst. It's not that the situation isn't treatable. Obviously, if you suspect any of this, you can always go to a doctor and get checked out. But whenever I saw that, I was like, that's me, oh my God, you know? Because it said, like, if you're feeling your pulse or seeing it, it's really indicative of that. But then there's something right above it that says it's completely normal if you're laying on your back, if you're thinner, if you have anxiety, if your heart rate's higher, if your blood pressure's higher, you know, you can see all these things, you know, and then of course I disregard all the other symptoms that are coupled with or that go with an aortic aneurysm: lower back pain, throbbing pain, gnawing pain in the stomach, and then going into shock if it were to get close to actually bursting or rupturing. And I wasn't experiencing any of those, you know. The fact that most of the time this happens if you're 60, 65 or older, and I'm like 21 whenever I first noticed this. I totally disregarded all that. I was just gonna remain irrational, screw being rational, which is the route I always took, and I assumed that. And that was what I worried about for the next 2 weeks until I eventually came to an acceptance, and I was like, okay, you know, I've probably felt this. I watched a lot of other videos. I read a lot more articles. And I was like, look, I came to terms with it like I eventually did with each of these stages of fears. I have anxiety, I got a history of this. I don't just catch a disease from reading an article, right? I'm fine, I don't have any of these other symptoms. If I ever develop any of these symptoms, you know, I'll go get checked out. But with that being said, you know, if you're worried about it, if you are having stomach pain, throbbing pain, if you feel any other symptoms of fatigue, you know, you feel extremely weak, clammy, and I know a lot of this stuff can be confusing with anxiety because anxiety can cause a lot of these things too. I'm talking about throbbing and gnawing stomach. Anxiety can cause IBS symptoms, right? This is why it's very confusing and difficult for people that deal with anxiety, because a lot of these symptoms, you look up the symptoms of a heart attack. They're almost identical to a panic attack. So this is why we end up going to the doctor a lot. So I didn't, in this situation, go to a doctor, but if you have some more serious symptoms, you know, where you're not feeling good in the belly area, this is something that's throbbing, it's causing you some more excruciating pain. Something that I read, if it's very tender to touch, if you can feel a mass in that area, which would be indicative of a bulge, right? Lower back pain in association with this. There's nothing wrong with going and get checked out. I don't want you to be stupid or anything and to just let it go or whatever just based off of what I'm saying. This video is more, the goal of this video was more to relate with you, to let you know you're not alone if you freaked out about this, and to give you peace that more times than not, this is something that's caused by anxiety or worsened by anxiety, right? Because you can notice it more, you're more sensitive to it, or it's just something normal that you notice for the first time. And something else that is very interesting when it comes to anxiety, my heart rate would be like double what most people's would be. You know what I mean? So most people's should be like in the mid 60s to mid 70s. My heart rate all the time, because I was always anxious, was like anywhere from like 130 to 150 all the freaking time. And it sounds exhausting, but that was me pretty much 24/7. So anybody else, you know, they're going to get half the chance to notice this, you know, versus me. You know, I got double the chance basically of noticing it because it's doing this. So you're going to see it more. I'd have it even having a better chance of even seeing it with my shirt on if my heart rate was going that fast. Also, my blood pressure was higher, so I would have palpitations. I felt like my blood pressure would be higher, so it would thump harder. So I probably had more vigorous beating and faster heart rate, which meant that I was probably twice as likely to notice that. And then you combine that with me being a body scanner and being more sensitive than most people, it was just a perfect storm. So if you're dealing with this, you're not alone. People that don't have anxiety, when they notice it for the first time, it can freak them out. If you have anxiety or health anxiety for the reasons I mentioned, it can really freak you out. Been there, done that. It was just another one of these mini health scares in my overall health anxiety journey. But if you have some of those other symptoms that I talked about, throbbing, gnawing, just pain, tender to touch, you feel a mass, if you have lower back pain, if you're just not feeling good in association with it and you want to get checked out, there's no reason to skip out on that. Just be safe, get checked out, move on with acceptance, right? And let's move on and let's try to put this behind us and give us more evidence that, hey, I got a problem with health anxiety, I got a problem with catastrophizing. You take that information, you learn from this past experience, and you take it to the next level if you develop new symptoms, and that's what you have to do. You get better and better at handling each one of these scares until you finally get out of it. You finally have true acceptance that this is anxiety, I got to handle my anxiety, and these are symptoms of anxiety. I'm not dying, I'm healthy, I've been checked out for XYZ, or A, B, C, D, all the way to Z, right? For all these things, and I always turn out healthy, right? So if you're dealing with this, you're not alone. I hope you got value out of this. I rambled a little bit of a story time, but you're not alone if you deal with this. I can understand from a personal level that it can be terrifying though. So like this video if you got value. Please subscribe if you're new. Be a part of the family. Lots of videos like this to help relate with you with your health anxiety experiences. Also lots of videos to help you recover from anxiety or health anxiety, panic attacks, any type of anxiety disorder. I help you on this channel, so be a part of that. Tons of resources down below. I got a course on anxiety to help you with recovery, my step-by-step process on how I recovered from all the anxiety disorders that I mentioned. Also, therapy is down below, try online therapy, my coaching info if you want to do one-on-one calls with me to help you with your health anxiety, panic attacks, generalized anxiety disorder. I'm here for you. So check that out down below. I'll send you my info and we'll see if we're a good match. Other than that, guys, I love you all. I'm going to put a video right here. Check it out. I also posted earlier today. That's the video that I'm going to put here. I'm going to try to start posting 2 times a day. So be a part of that. I'm trying to post more frequently. But until next time, guys, I love you all. Keep fighting.